What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at the companions for the launch of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I have done a similar video in the past, and I thought I would take a little bit of time to update everyone with some of the changes that were happening throughout beta. For instance, some of the text and things were updated. For instance, Arushale was referred to as a tiefling, despite the fact that she is a succubus. And there are some exciting additions as well. First things first, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as I possibly can. I'm going to mention the new stuff at the end of the video, and I'll try to call that out again right before I get to it. Though I do want to mention, some of what I'll be presenting is presented in such a way that it shows you what you'll be presented with when you meet that character, as opposed to the twists and turns their story may or may not take. I've also pulled off all of the armor and everything from the character's inventory sheet, so when you see the stats, that should be as close as they possibly can to what their actual stats will be when you pick them up. And one last thing, the Lich Mythic Path gets a couple of unique companions. I don't want to spoil anything, but obviously with it being a Lich, these are companions that are raised from the dead. This was part of the marketing. It's a pretty well-known fact. It's a lot of the reason why people want to play a Lich. I'm not going over those because they are specific to the Lich Mythic Path. However, yes, there are unique companions for the Lich. Obviously, they are all undead minions. So with all of that out of the way, let's actually jump into this. So the first companion we're going to meet is Sela. She is a lawful good human paladin. Sela herself is pretty straightforward. She tries to uphold her values as a paladin of Iomedae in face of, obviously, the crusade and demons and evil things happening around her, as well as her own troubled past. Then we have Camellia, or Camellia, I have no idea how to say her name. That said, her alignment actually now shows up as undetectable as opposed to it previously showing up as neutral. This is important because Camellia is wearing an amulet that obscures her alignment choices, obviously part of her story. Now, she is a shaman, specifically a spirit hunter, and she has a very good backstory, especially if you choose to go along with it. And that's all I'm going to say about her, other than the fact that she is presented as a noble of the city and is very rational, if a bit cold and standoffish. Then we have Laine. Laine is a lawful neutral mongrel Zen archer. Mongrels are a race of people that were descended from the first Crusaders before the Crusaders knew about the concept of corruption. So the world wound has a tendency to corrupt the people around it, so you have to take special precautions and not stay out there too long, or you'll be corrupted. The first Crusaders did none of this, and this resulted in their descendants becoming the mongrels, which are mutated human beings who often have bestial features. His class is that of a Zen archer, which make incredible archers. He himself is a lawful character, but obviously not above doing questionable things, so long as the ends justify the means, so to speak. And then we have Winduag, another character I have a terrible time pronouncing their name. She is a neutral evil mongrel. She is also a fighter class typically. That said, she does tend to favor bows. Now, Winduag is all about power, and however she gets it means nothing to her. Hence the neutral evil. Her and Lan do not see eye to eye, and they are initially mutually exclusive. So after you clear the prologue, you'll have to choose one of them, and then you cannot get the other one as an option until about halfway through the game, give or take. Though you can eventually get both. Then there is Woljif. Woljif is a chaotic neutral tiefling who is an eldritch scoundrel, which is a thief who knows magic, basically. He is all about himself and nobody else. He is, of course, a thief, and honestly a bit of a coward throughout most of the game, but you can kind of shape his destiny. He's involved with a lot of fun quests as well. And then there is Ember. She is a neutral good elf stigmatized witch. Ember herself is very interesting to me because she was actually burned at the stake. However, a crusader actually jumped in and pulled her from this, and then they just kind of let it go, I suppose. So she is covered head to toe in burn marks. That said, she is a good person and tries to preach non-violence and pacifism as much as humanly possible. Then we have Ninio, a neutral human scroll savant. Scroll savant is a wizard archetype. Ninio is involved in some very interesting quests and has a big secret that she forgot, is how I'll put it. And that's all we're going to say about her quest, but she herself is all about knowledge. She has mastered a way to forget things she doesn't need to know, so she can contain more knowledge to the answers she seeks. She is basically a lunatic in service of knowledge. It's very interesting. She herself can be a little grating on the nerves, though, to be honest. Then we have Dayran, a neutral evil ASMR oracle. Dayran himself is someone who has lived his life with fame and adoration. He is the cousin to Queen Galfrey. He himself, being an ASMR, has basically been showered with adulation his entire life, but he's a neutral evil character. He often tries to weasel his way out of anything even remotely approaching true responsibility, and honestly has one of the more interesting quests for the game. Then we have Soseal. He is a neutral good human cleric of Shaylin. Being a cleric of Shaylin, he follows the path of Shaylin, which is all about seeing the beauty in life, and he also has very interesting quests, which we will circle back to. Then there is Regil. Regil is a lawful evil gnome Hell Knight, which is absolutely hilarious because the idea of a gnome Hell Knight is by itself pretty funny. Gnomes are subject to this thing called the bleaching, which is a little complicated for this video, but basically, being a Hell Knight is literally slowly killing him. That is how committed he is to being a lawful evil Hell Knight. That said, being a Hell Knight, he's all about order, not necessarily doing the right thing, obviously, and again, does the end justify the means type of guy. Then we have Greyboar. He is a neutral dwarf slayer. Greyboar is a bounty hunter. He works for money. He does assassinations and things. You'll actually meet him very early on in the game, and then he becomes a companion again as part of the main story, actually, all the way in Chapter 3, or Act 3. Again, part of the main story. Can't actually miss that guy. And then there is Arushale. Last but not least, sort of, she is a chaotic neutral ascending succubus who is an espionage expert. So she is a demon who is on the path to redemption, which is why she is an ascending succubus. Her stats are also ridiculous because she is technically a demon. She's also very good at hitting things from ranged, another ranged character, and her basic setup when you find her is already in a pretty good place if you use her effectively, especially because of her stats. Now, real quick, just because I didn't mention it as we were going through, Sela and Camellia are part of the main story. You meet Laine and Winduag as part of the main story. Woljif you will meet in the basement of the Defender's Heart, which is the first hub area. Ember is found in a place called the Market Square. She is technically missable, so if you want to pick her up, Market Square. Ninio is a forced random encounter, hard to miss. Dayran is actually easy to miss, but when you are in Market Square, you can find a messenger telling you that his mansion is under attack, which leads you to Dayran. Soseal you come in contact to as part of the main story, can't miss him. Regil is technically part of the main story, though you don't have to help him. When you are contacted by Hell Knights, choose to help them. And Greyboar and Arushale are both part of the main story as well. Spoilers! If you don't want them, don't watch this last part. There is one more companion, and largely the reason I decided to make this video and clarify some points from the previous video. There's a new companion that was not in the beta and stuff, and that is a guy named Trevor. This is actually Soseal's brother. In order to find Trevor, you have to do Soseal's side quests, and do them in a way where Trevor lives and stays with you, which can be a little tricky. But if you pull it off, he will join your party as a companion. Now, he joins very late game. There's not too much of the game left once he joins. However, he is a chaotic, neutral, human, a lot of stuff. So, Trevor was originally a paladin who became a fallen paladin after being disillusioned with the World Wound War. Then he became a Hell Knight, was captured by demons, where he became a pit fighter in a demon arena. So he has levels in Paladin that he can't use because he's not lawful good anymore. He has levels in Hell Knight that he does get to use. Then he has levels in Two-Handed Fighter, as well as levels in Barbarian Armored Hulk. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. Pretty solid melee fighter, to be honest. However, again, you get him very late game, and he is Soseal's brother. So he will only leave your party if Soseal is also kicked out once you actually invite him to join you. And he doesn't really have any quests or anything, but he's obviously tied in with Soseal pretty heavily. So there you go, guys. A look at the companions for the launch of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I certainly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.